Ladies and gentlemen, from Rialto, California, Mark and Andre present The Mark and Andre Show. Tonight's topic, Transylvania, the original Pokémon movie, and Truth.org big tobacco conspiracies. All culminating here, tonight, on The Mark and Andre Show. Now here are your hosts, Mark and Andre. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another fantastic episode of the Mark and Andre podcast show. With me, the co-host, Andre Gaynor.
The one and only.
The one and only. The artist formerly known as Punzi. What's going on with Punzi?
I haven't done any, I just did a Punzi show last Thursday. And it's just, really, I still write and do music, but I'm focused on lyricology right now. The thing is, while I do lyricology, I can still make music and just give it to people as a lesson. Because it'd be like, oh, this is how you do rhyme schemes, or this is how you do wordplay, and just do a song and push it out and people listen to it. But I haven't, tried to commercially release anything. I'm not even trying anymore as far as, I don't know, I have more fun teaching. The writing and the performing and all that, that's just extra stuff to advertise for the channel. Mm-hmm. I did the show last week, and then immediately afterward I told them to go to YouTube.
We're at?
Some spot in Pomona. It was called Pomona Dopeness, and I had to shoot over there because I know the owner of that event. So he's like, please just do a show. And I came
so
and
you
did
knew
the
the proprietor of that said establishment.
Yes, I sure did. I sure did.
That's
good.
good.
Just did a quick, it was a 15-20 minute set, and then I was out of there.
Nice.
I was in and out, okay, do the raps, go to YouTube, and then I was out of there. And
cool.
Went home. And then, I don't know, Punzi is in the air right now. I don't know what's up with Punzi. There might be a new project coming soon, maybe.
Oh, wow, so you heard it first here on the Mark and Andre Show.
Oh, yeah.
Punzi's coming back with a 12-disc set.
12 discs!
1,200 songs.
One song each disc. One long-ass song.
$40 each disc.
$40 each disc, and they're all separate, and the orders are random.
You know what? I want to... Let me plug these shows I've been watching, and I'll let you know, because I know you've been watching my Snapchat feed. Mm-hmm. The show Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton, where he plays a down-and-out drunk lawyer, superb.
It's great?
Fantastic.
What else? What else you eyeing?
Red Oaks.
What's that?
The show Red Oaks is about a 20-year-old kid in the mid-1980s, has a summer job at a golf course. And it sounds like a National Lampoon movie.
It does.
Of course, and it's just for the summer, So all the tropes are there. You have the super cool older Matthew McConaughey trope where he's like, I can pick up younger chicks. You have the shady owner of the golf course.
Of course.
You have the main character plays a tennis instructor, and alongside him is this older gentleman who's a fantastic actor. He has he's an Indian guy, but he has this British accent, and he's just coming up with all these cool sayings and mannerisms. It's a good tag along piece.
Well, while we're at it, do we have a black janitor?
No, not yet. I don't. You know what? Matter of fact,
you're due for one, right?
Matter of fact, I'm not sure if there was a black person in that show. I'll have to look. I'm barely in the first season. There's 2 seasons of Red Oaks.
Yeah, usually it's usually around the second or third season they introduce more black characters. Or black extras.
Speaking of Goliath, the first show I mentioned, wow, talk about good legal proceedings. They are really, this California law is really, it's real particular on some things. And there's a lot of legal proceedings that only adhere to California law, and they do it spot on. Not that I know a lot of law.
Yeah,
but,
not like you studied California law specifically.
Exactly, but I've seen enough Law and Order and everything to I can fully confidently represent myself in court. I don't need lawyer. I don't need a lawyer. You know what I mean? I've seen Goliath, all right?
No matter the crime, you got it. You already know what to do.
Can I see your what is it? Your qualifications, your what's that other fancy word? Credentials.
Your credentials.
I'll just show them like season 1 of Goliath. Like,
just put it on.
I've seen all these episodes,
and everyone will gasp in like surprise. Everyone will lean back a little bit because they know.
To the audience at home, I totally recommend these shows. I wanted to make sure to put these out in the open because Amazon exclusive programming is actually really good.
It is.
Man, very incredible.
I did not know.
The Man in the High Castle, which I mentioned to you. Remember the Man in the High Castle is a show. It's fiction, and it's set in the setting of the aftermath of World War II, as if the Germans won. The Germans and the Japanese actually won World War II. So the United States is now under the Nazi regime, with the East Coast being taken over by Germany, and respectively the West Coast is taken over by Japanese. So they're under what's that other fancy word? Anyway, but they're both. But in the middle of the United States is a neutral zone between Germany and Japan. In the middle, like with the Midwest states, Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
It's all neutral zone.
Okay.
So it goes with like there's double agents involved. The guy that one of the not prime ministers, but one of the chief inspectors for the Japanese, the Japanese side, is the guy who played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
I'm watching it now,
and he hasn't said it has begun yet.
I'm waiting
for him to go on top of a mountain and be like, "It has begun!" And a bunch of spirits and shit, like all next to him,
shooting fireballs from the top of the mountain down at people at Germans,
morphing into different Nazi officials,
turn into a dragon, like all these random things that have nothing to do with the time period. That sounds pretty dope, actually.
Yeah.
And how far have you gotten on that one?
I've killed the first season.
Wow.
I've binge watched Goliath and The Man in the High Castle, and it sucks when the whole season's available because
you just why wait?
Yeah, the urge to watch the next show isn't there anymore because you have to wait for the next season.
Right, and it's funny because I think that's really affecting modern television. Netflix is killing in that area because Netflix gives you the season.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, remember the hype of Arrested Development season 4?
Yeah.
People lost their mind. Like that was, I think Netflix is like one of the very few productions that they produce themselves.
Yeah.
And I remember once it came out, people binge watched it in that day.
Yeah.
Like no one waited. Not a single person waited. House of Cards. When House of Cards debuted, Kevin Spacey show, the first episode, like it's like you watch the first episode and it's like, well, why won't I watch more? And then next thing you know, you're done with the entire span of the show.
Nice.
Walking Dead, right? You guys annihilated years worth of material in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Poor television. I think people don't have the patience nowadays to even endure the wait for a week.
It's enjoyable to see original programming actually be the forefront of not necessarily cable television, but streaming subscription programming, I would call it.
Yeah.
The
new cable.
Exactly. And I like the fact that it doesn't necessarily have to follow the guidelines of cable television, because with cable television, you fall into too many restrictions. Like, a lot of good programming had to go on Starz, HBO, to actually, for you to fully digest and for you to fully comprehend everything that they wanted to put out there.
Right.
Like shows like Rome. Rome wouldn't be able to.
Dense.
Rome wouldn't be able to be put on regular cable because
Spartacus.
of subject matter. Exactly, Spartacus as well.
And what makes the current streaming world really great is because, like you mentioned before, they don't have to follow any rules.
Mm-mm.
I mean, Stranger Things does not have a consistent runtime. Every episode is a different amount of time per show. Like, in comparison to if you went to FX, the show's going to be 30 minutes with the breaks for commercials.
Yeah.
So we usually only get 19 minutes of a show, and the rest is commercials.
Yeah.
So, when you go on Netflix, you get about 45 to 50 minutes of just straight
uncut
material. And then, there's no language barriers. There's no content barriers. It's like, if there's going to be nudity, it might show up. And I think the new streaming era is going to kind of break the mold for television because, I mean, why do we have to wait now? And Netflix isn't going to be crazy and go like, oh, you only get this half of the season first, and then they'll give you the other half. They give you the whole show because they trust you, and they already know you're going to binge it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. But yeah, $8 what is it? $9 a month now? Like they went up $1.
The way I did
$1 billion overnight.
Yeah, the way I did with Amazon Prime is I actually got the subscription, but immediately canceled it. So I still have my 30 days. I just needed some expedited shipping on one thing, so I got Prime. And I got my money back.
And then wrote him up like I didn't like this service at all.
Yeah, I just got my money back for that. So I have to enjoy these 30 days with Amazon Prime and take all the original programming before I go to other means to find this programming.
I didn't even know that like Amazon had. I knew they started a production studio. With their own streaming service, but I didn't know they already had their own unique service.
Yeah, Amazon Studios really puts it down for individual programming. I know production companies are separate, but they fall under the same umbrella of Amazon, being an Amazon production, aka where the money comes from.
The origin of money at this point.
But incredible programming. I had to add that before we even got to breaking down what we're going to talk about tonight.
Right.
So tonight on the Mark and Andre podcast show, we're going to be discussing Transylvania. There's something really cool happening in Transylvania, mainly with the very famous Dracula's Castle. Something that hasn't happened in over 60 years is going to happen on Halloween. The next thing we're also going to be talking about tonight is theaters are going to re-release the original Pokémon movie. Now, we're going to ask a few questions, but we're going to leave it at that for you guys to remain tuning in. And for tonight's pseudo-conspiracy, I say pseudo because it's kind of sort of well-known and documented now, but the Truth.org anti-smoking campaign, what you guys might not know is that there's an actual common ground between anti-smoking campaigns and big tobacco. So we'll go right into that here tonight on the Mark and Andre show. But first, let's get the first commercial spot out of the way. Hello, this is Mark Flores from the Mark F Podcast channel, here to let you know that this podcast episode is brought to you by Game Swappers. Come on down to Game Swappers, located at 4520 Holt Boulevard in Montclair, California, to buy, sell, and trade your current and retro video games from Nintendo Entertainment System to the PS4. Keep in mind that if you share any one of my podcast episodes through any form of social media, you'll get 10% off your entire purchase, or you'll get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. Follow Game Swappers on Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade. We're back here on the Mark and Andre podcast show. Now, the first topic we got to get underway here is... So, the movie... Oh, no, is this. Sorry.
It's a great transition.
The movie Dracula took from the book written by Bram Stoker, took the whole concept of vampires by storm. Before Twilight, before all these, before the Lost Boys.
The original.
The original vampire craze came from the Bram Stoker novel, then got translated. Universal got the rights to do Dracula. Still have the rights. So, that's why they're going to try to do the whole Universal Monsters reboot. So, but that's neither here nor there with this topic at hand. So, the Dracula's Castle, the one located in Transylvania, they're actually going to let people sleep over on Halloween night in Dracula's Castle.
Oh, hell no. In all honesty, like, to be completely serious, oh, hell no. Like,
yeah.
Fuck that. Why? How much did they say anything about pricing?
No, not pricing, but I would expect, since it is a tourist trap and, Dracula diehards will pay any set amount of money for it, I could imagine that the price will go up into the hundreds, possibly even thousands.
Oh,
it's
crap.
safe to assume that, knowing that with an American with airfare travel, it's going to happen.
And there's going to be VIP access of some kind. That sounds that's nuts.
It is.
I don't know why a person would do this. I mean, just overall, for the legacy of the name Dracula, right?
Yeah.
And the actual story of Dracula, I still wouldn't find this to be a good idea. This is crazy. Why would a person do it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't fuck with it. I'm like nervous for the people that are going to participate in this. This sounds like House on Haunted Hill. Like this.
Yeah,
they're going to die.
The thing about the story of Dracula himself, it's that this guy was a count.
Mm-hmm. He was an accountant?
He's an accountant Dracula. He was nothing but like a guy that had weird teeth, and he was just counting up the key stuff. I'm head of payroll. I'm head of payroll. Imagine that was like the whole thing. No, dude. Count Dracula, the reason we called him Count Dracula is like he does suck, but he just sucks at accounting. It's like, and then long story short, through a series of like telephone game, like it came to be this guy who was a Count Dracula and he was always sucking blood.
He's a live dead vampire all of a sudden. Like
it only took 600 years for that to transpire for him to be a evil guy.
He went from the most like unintimidating, horrible accountant to like a revered figure in the vampire universe.
Oh man!
Only in 600 years. I respect it. So why are they doing this? I don't think we have enough information, but they're doing this for a reason, right?
Yeah. No one has slept over. I would guess visitors. They haven't slept over the castle, over in the castle since 1948.
That's crazy.
So to let people back in this year during this time is actually, it's actually incredible because why now? You know, like they could have done it during Dracula Reborn or whenever that movie came out.
Right.
Or even during the Bram Stoker Dracula in the 90s, the one with Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman.
Right.
But to do it this year out of all times, it's kind of bringing relevance, just try to slowly bring relevance back to Dracula.
Which is funny because Dracula is really irrelevant at this point.
Exactly.
he's irrelevant. He's completely like out of the eye of pop culture. The idea of a vampire is totally different now. So they're trying to bring it back to the horror elements of Dracula being intimidating and vampires being intimidating. And because I really do feel like Twilight bruised the image of a vampire. They're glittery, beautiful beings, that love and treat people with respect and kindness. But in this case, I think maybe this is a flip to bring that dark edge back to the concept of a vampire. Because really, there hasn't been like a Blade film. Why would I go for Blade? There hasn't been another vampire film in a while. I think Underworld recently,
They're going to make another Underworld.
Yeah, that's what
in the next couple of years, and I haven't heard anything about Blade. But in the Marvel universe, Wesley Snipes is always down to do Blade.
Of course, he's still got the sword.
The Dracula Reborn series was supposed to be the franchise launch for Dracula, but due to bad box office with that movie, they decided not to. So they're going to reboot it again.
Well, what direction will they go this time around? I mean,
it's going to be similar to that of, remember, like I mentioned to you a couple podcasts ago, they're going to do the Marvel movie type of role where Wolfman, Mummy, Frankenstein, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, they're all going to culminate at one point, because in the new Mummy movie that they're going to do with Tom Cruise, Dr. Jekyll is going to be a doctor being played by Russell Crowe.
Oh, wow.
In the movie. So just a slight hint. It's like when Thor would bring Captain America as a cameo, so on and so forth.
But are we going to follow the lore correctly, or are we going to have another Frankenstein? Remember?
Oh, man.
The recent one, he had shotguns and action.
Yeah, with that guy that played Two-Face.
Yeah. I think, I'm pretty sure they might dedicate themselves to the original lore.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid they might they'll try to modernize it, maybe go for super scary, like our modern version of fear and scariness, very dark, possibly bloodier, who knows what angle they'll come with, because I can't see them going a comedic route with Dracula.
It's hard for modern day, I wouldn't say Dracula enthusiasts, it's hard to repack, I'd say movie studio, from a movie studio's perspective, it's hard to repackage Dracula because of his classic, how he looks, it's hard to...
It's goofy now.
Yeah, you don't want to take that away, but yet you don't want to repackage him where you're totally straying away from the original content.
Yeah, because they would be willing to go as far as to put him in skinny jeans and a scarf and give him a buzz cut. You know what I mean? Something, they go that drastically different.
Dracula's reborn as a Starbucks barista. Why is it so dark in here, Count? Why is your name Count?
Why do you talk like that, dude? Come on, let's get some bitches.
It's 7 a.m. in the morning. Why is it so dark in here? Do you want your espresso or not?
Why don't you work the day shift for me, bro? I just need you to fill my slot, man. Come on.
When Dracula has to
Gets a day job.
Dracula gets a day job. He's a barista in New York.
No, he works at Radio Shack.
He works at... He's a cell phone guy.
Radio Shackula. Like, I could see them going the worst direction. Mm-hmm. Or I could see them actually trying to stick with the traditional look and feel.
Yeah.
And just touch it up. They can do that.
Because, like you mentioned earlier, the modern day perception of a vampire is screwed up.
It's all bad.
Due to Twilight.
They're like adorable now.
Yeah. So, you could get a mainstay A-list actor and keep him in the old-fashioned Dracula, and I think that might do well. Mm-hmm. Keep this Dracula movie from Universal when they make it. Keep it very scary. Like, it's a good story. The story of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where some guy goes to Dracula's castle, and all the horror ensues from there. Mm-hmm. That can be done well. A gory castle like the one in Transylvania, like the one they reimagined in the studio,
right?
That could be scary. A lone castle sitting on top of a hill. Of course, it's fucking raining, and of course, there's lightning.
Of course,
the imagery can be done right.
Right.
But in the respects to A Night in Transylvania, after all the image I just painted, it's hard for you to spend a night there.
I wouldn't want to. But I almost feel like these people, like you said, there's going to be a ton of Dracula enthusiasts.
Yeah.
I think that's just a funny idea. They still have all of the lore on the walls, and they have all the products and toys and
those posters looked nice. I remember the one time that I went to Halloween Horror Nights, they had the tour of the Universal Monsters. They had a little booth for the Universal Monsters. Not a little booth, I would say one of their... You know how Universal Studios always build something up and they can just demolish it. They had one of those things for the Universal Monster movies. Mm-hmm. And during the line of one of the mazes, they had all the Universal Monster movie posters. And while you're waiting in line, you get to see all of them.
Look at them all.
Dracula and Frankenstein, Wolfman and Frankenstein, all the Abbott and Costello Universal Monster. It was cool to see. Those posters are nice.
Now, someone that's an enthusiast that has those kind of things, all the original... posters and paraphernalia, this might be a wonderment for them, but I also feel like new people might just try this out because it's a scary idea. I don't think this is going to bring attention to the name of Dracula.
I don't either, because Dracula itself isn't a registered trademark for Universal. Mm-hmm. Most of the movies now from back then are now not open source. I forget the word. It's public domain. Okay. They're all public domain. So, and even the phrase itself, Dracula, you can say, you and I can make a Dracula movie.
And we can't get sued.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is excellent.
So, with that, it's not like you're advertising directly for Universal if, they want to mention that you can spend a night in Transylvania. Mm-hmm. But, due to the fact that this is it might have people people might remember this event and then take it on to the point where they see the new Dracula movie. It might, but it's just so loose.
It's very loose. It's kind of a shot in the dark. That's why I hope that this is for positive reason.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I hope that this is going to be, I guess, limited access. Maybe only a certain amount of people can come per night.
Yeah.
Of course, I assume they're going to feed these people and accommodate them.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it might be even better than that. They just fucking close the door and then survive.
Oh my god.
This isn't documented. You guys didn't sign any waivers. You're going to die tonight.
That would be cool to make it a very famous haunted house at that point, because if no one's been there since 48, that means since 1948 there has been no revenue stream for that place.
Exactly.
Except for tours, perhaps. I would still have tours at least if I own the property.
Did someone buy this property and then say, finally, I can touch this shit up and have a bunch of people come over and stay here?
From what I can assume, if no one's been there since 1948, there had to have been a sudden change in either ownership or the perception of people having other like fans go, like where they're like, you know what, let's have people come. But that doesn't happen. If that hasn't happened for the last 50, 60 plus years, what makes you think that
people are going to come now?
It leads me to believe that there's been a change of ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
But somebody got it and was like, finally, I can cash in on this.
Ding, 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 ding. Like, that's all as soon as he shook hands with, like Count Dracula the Eighth or whoever owns it. He's having me meet him at night in this castle.
I don't care. I'm going to get the big bucks. That's all he cares about. You just think about profit the whole time. I mean, whatever the case, I'm not going. I don't play that shit. But I definitely feel like, I'm trying not to... I got to be more optimistic. So maybe this is just a great opportunity to get people to understand the history of the household.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some. So with that being said, good luck to those that attempt to spend the night there. If you do end up missing, that was on you. Yeah. That was your decision. So don't do it. Other than that, that's actually a really spectacular attempt.
Yeah.
I want to see what's going to happen with that.
I'm excited to see. I just got excited when I saw the article. I was like, wow, this is cool because I haven't heard mention of Dracula's Castle in a long time. And I forgot where...
Nobody's brought that up lately.
I forgot where Transylvania was. I forgot it was in Romania. I keep thinking of... Every time I think of like lone castles that don't exist, despite the fact that Dracula's castle exists, I think of Latveria, where Dr. Doom lived.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, where's Latveria at? I remember I got trolled so hard. I was like, oh, that's fictional. It's like Wakanda.
Right.
In the Black Panther series. Anyway, I just wanted to bring the attention to that. But the next topic that we have, speaking of Pokemon, we have theaters are going to re-release the first Pokemon movie. Now, you and I remember Pokemon very vividly. I remember having the cards myself. And I still regret the day I traded my holographic Chansey for a bunch of fucking basic cards. My brother bamboozled me hard, man. Danny got me hard. I had a holographic Chansey, and he was like, I'll give you all these cards for that one.
And you're just thinking, I lucked out here.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was rarity in holographics. I thought, okay, cool. Gave me a bunch of energy cards and Rattatas. I got played big time.
Pidgeys.
Yeah, a bunch of Pidgeys.
Metapods.
So I got, and I still remember that very vividly. To even play into the Pokemon craze, I remember begging Mom for the basic starter set. I remember my uncle taking jobs for packs of booster packs.
Damn.
Just but for simple air conditioning jobs.
Right.
Like, just maintain this air conditioner and we'll give you a set amount of money. Well, can you give me plus more money in booster cards just to play them, So he was a lot ahead of the game, but this craze went really it really got pushed to an 11, what do you remember as far as the Pokemon craze goes when...
And on my end, because I was a hardcore video gamer, but I was weird about Pokemon, actually. Yeah. I had, like, all of their shit. I had every card. I had not every card, that's ridiculous, but I had a huge, huge card collection. I never played the game once.
Wow.
Never played it. I've never played Pokemon before. Like, I had to play the Game Boy ones and all that, but to play the actual card game, never. But I had all the, like, holographics. I always had the cards, because I just liked the collecting part of it, but I would never play them. So I would bring my collection to school, and motherfuckers would be like, Battle Me! And I'm like, no. I wonder how frustrating that is, like, now.
You think I would battle you with a collection like this? Get out of here.
Come on, look at these.
Holographics
all around.
You try to play a front, like...
Tell me what you'll play, and then I'll figure out what I'll do with these cards. Like, no, I had a whole section full of holographics. And then I had a whole section of, like, the standard attack poses, and then the super attack poses, or whatever the fuck. Yeah. And then just a bunch of random other cards at the end. It was all organized.
First editions, they had Fossil series.
Yeah. And after a while, you want to know the truth? I just fucking lost them. I have no clue what these cards are.
It's always something of that nature.
So most likely, it was in storage and maybe it's no longer there. I don't know.
As far as the movie, when the movie was announced, when the whole hype for the movie was going around. What did you think?
I was fucking ready, man. I was excited. Because I actually watched... Yeah, that's what it was. The thing about Pokemon is that it had spread so vast to the point where you didn't have to play the card game. You could either play it on your Game Boy or you could watch the show.
Yeah.
Or you could just, be a part of the craze. I know they came with the kids' meals and all that shit. It did go nuts at one point. But yeah, definitely the Pokemon movie came out at the perfect time, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It came at just the right time.
Yeah.
At first, or at least at that point, it's like if they would have put the movie out like maybe a year or two earlier than that, it wouldn't have worked. I feel like the movie came out exactly when people were the most interested, and it was hitting on all cylinders. It was hitting you everywhere you were going. And I went to the theater and watched that shit.
Was that movie made by Funimation before? Was it that's a company, right? Funimation?
Yeah, Funimation is essentially like they're the converters.
Okay.
So yeah, well, like they have to go through Funimation to be translated and have their voice actors and do all the shit.
So did that movie already? Was that
movie existed probably like years ago?
Okay, so then it just gets translated and brought over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like honestly, that film was probably like maybe a year or two old.
Yeah.
And then we got it eventually, and then with Funimation, when you got Funimation, you're getting
primo unabridged translations,
yes. Top of the line translations, and top of the line performances. Usually when it's Funimation, so they put it in the right hands, and the film was excellent. I thought it was great, and then especially at that time, because there is that difference in quality in animation.
Yeah.
At least we noticed it then. Now everything just gets translated to 3D, but it just looked amazing compared to the actual cartoon. You know, better detail, more effort put into it.
You could tell when there's a lot more animators involved, a lot more production involved, when it's a full-scale animated movie. Well, a movie animated movie. A full-scale animated movie.
Right.
You could tell when it's just a 20-minute show. You could tell the animation from there, but wow, the colors very vivid. Everything did look amazing. I was excited for the Mew card that they were going to release with it, because remember, at this point, Mew was
the extra,
and he was not really known amongst the circles of some Pokemon players, collectors, etc. So to see Mew versus Mewtwo, which they advertised on the in the movie, it's like seeing a heavyweight fight. You wanted to know who won.
Like who's gonna win?
Monday, the Monday after that movie that was released on Friday, the question you had to ask everyone: did you see the Pokemon movie?
Right.
Who won? Like,
and people were actually pretty tight-lipped about it. At least these were the days before spoilers were just like that's bound to happen. I remember the impact overall. Everyone saw this movie.
Now, the question I want to get to with us while we discuss this is this. So, with the hype that we've established, that there was definite hype, there was a definite craze with Pokemon. Now, it being re-released, and with the advent of social media, plus Pokemon Go, do you think there's a lot more people aware of Pokemon than back then? What I want to get to is that, do you think the craze is a lot more apparent now that a lot more eyes are on it? Or do you think it was actually crazier back then?
Without a doubt, I think it's now. Now is definitely the time that Pokemon is like hitting, I won't even say hitting a peak, but it's hitting a point where it's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
I agree with you, because like I mentioned to you earlier when we discussed this, with social media and a lot of people having smartphones, the access to know about Pokemon, the access to kind of get a quick generalization of it, is a lot more. You're a lot more able to do it now than you were back then,
right?
Because you didn't have smartphones, because of the apps, and there's a lot more eyes being. You can tally a lot more people looking at Pokemon now than you could back then.
Right. You
so
can see more, but
it's quantifiable now, and for that, you can actually assess and know plus the fact that everyone has a smartphone, plus the fact that everyone knows about what's going on and what's trending.
And it's in every country, though.
Exactly.
Everyone plays Pokemon in some capacity.
Yeah. People in the Midwest, I would imagine, back when Pokemon was coming around, would only be able to know about it through the television show.
Exactly.
Not a lot of people had basic cable or television at all. Mm-hmm. You know, that's safe to assume, especially in rural states.
And even on specific nations, right? Like, here, when it was picking up momentum, it kind of pulled it pulled the Power Rangers. Where it was like, oh, people like this crap. We're going to push it as hard as we can in every direction.
Yeah.
And that was successful. Like, that worked perfectly. Because everyone had something affiliated with Pokemon. Like, period. It didn't matter who you were, too. It was multicultural. And it hit everything. I can't even believe how fast they spread it. It was like a viral disease. But I feel like that was just the beginning. And now it's to the point where, I mean, we've had so many different versions and iterations and generations of Pokemon.
Yeah.
They have a different demographic for each generation. So we have all these generations compiled together. I mean, yeah, this is the original first Pokemon film. I still feel like younger kids today would still see this movie just based on the reaction of Pokemon Go. Yeah. Pokemon Go used the original 150. Mm-hmm. And we saw dads, taking their kids outside to play Pokemon Go. Parents and kids alike came together for Pokemon Go. So I think based on the success, the overwhelming, unbelievable success of Pokemon Go, they were like, well, I mean, let's put out the Pokemon movie again and see how that works out. And maybe they're going to do a test from that number. Like, however this does worldwide, they'll have an idea of what to go do next. Because they're already coming up with peripherals for Pokemon Go. They have the Pokemon Go, like, now or something. Pokemon Go more.
Keep going?
Yeah, forever go. Like, but there's there's a little, like, Pokeball. It's a button.
Yeah.
And it actually attaches to your phone, or it connects to your phone, and you can use it for other attributes in the game.
Yeah.
So I think just with the momentum of that, cash in through the film, then throw out the new Pokemon Go update or whatever, and see, what happens. Because Pokemon Go is free, to my knowledge, right?
Yes.
And the next level of Pokemon Go, you have to pay for.
It's one of those games where you get a set amount of default items, but once those expire, then the temptation of you buying more Pokeballs or buying better ones comes around. And
very, very smart.
Like that with Clash of Clans, the same thing with the Simpsons game where you have to buy donuts.
It's genius.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even mad at it.
And that's how, that's where you make the money. You offer the application that everyone's talking about. But as you progress through the game, you see the rub. And that's for you to, after you expire of whatever item that you need, they'll charge you for it.
You gotta pay up. But here's the thing. I think, the success of Pokemon Go established how powerful and important Pokemon is to our culture. Because I didn't know. I didn't know so many people liked Pokemon. I did not know. Like, so much was revealed to me with the release of Pokemon Go. I'm like, you, of all people, this person is a Pokemon fan, an avid one. Damn. Like, it's too much. It's so overwhelming. And the show is still going. They're still making games. Like, it's not going to stop.
I have no doubt that the re-release will be successful because of everyone vouching for other people to watch it. Or, say if you had a son, you'd be like, oh, come watch this. Like say if you were an avid Pokemon fan and you wanted your son to watch it or whatever.
They'll have their own generation to enjoy. Like, yeah. And you can be present and have your child or whatever love Pokemon the same way that you do.
It's like when they re-released the original Star Wars trilogy in the late 90s. Right in time for episode 1. Hopefully I just hope they don't release Pokemon 2000. Jeez. But yeah, that's a topic for a different day if they decide to do that. It's definitely a craze. I know for sure that it'll be successful because I've seen one too many footage of Central Park, people in Central Park mobbing to
Dragonite!
Yeah, exactly. For a Dragonite, oh my gosh. People left their cars like with the doors open.
And keys in.
Yes, just to go and try to capture the Dragonite.
In comparison to the other 100 or so people there trying to catch it at the same time. Like, what is wrong with people?
That's nuts.
I can't say there's anything wrong with them. It's just the craze is a little... Man, I think it's addictive for some people.
Yeah.
Overall.
Agree. The re-release will definitely be successful.
Did they say anything about updating it? And, like, is it going to be...
I would imagine they'd have to upscale it.
Something, right? Like...
High def, like, I mean, put it on the IMAX. I don't care what you're going to do, but it'll, I would imagine, with advancement of technology, you know, if you press the original movie in its original form, if you press it to our movie reels now, if they even use movie reels.
They're digital at this point.
Yeah, you know. So I hope that translation, you get your quality up, I would assume. Because they were able to do it they were able to put Titanic in 3D.
Right. So,
you know?
I mean, with that being said, hopefully this, you know... my thing is this, I get a little nervous when I see something come out of nowhere that my generation had a close connection to. Like, why are you bringing that back? Cool. You know, you're going to bring back the first Pokemon movie. That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're going to even enjoy it. Because it's kind of silly at our age now.
Yeah.
Ash, you know, spoilers, whatever. He dies. They fucking kill him. They kill the main character, and then the Pokemon tears bring him back.
Jeez.
He dies. He gets murdered. He dies, and then everyone starts crying. All the Pokemon starts crying, and their tears form into a rainbow stream that touches it, and then into his soul and brings him back to life. First and only time it's ever happened in the history of Pokemon.
And everyone else...
And Mewtwo's like, damn, I didn't even know we could do that. That's tight. All right, see you guys later. And he's gone. He just leaves, and that's the last time we see him.
Freaking Mew. I remember finding him in the Game Boy game, and I'm like, oh shit, it's going down.
It's going down. I don't have any balls.
Yeah. We used, I remember using the rare candy virus on the red version to get a bunch of Master Balls. Because I didn't have time for that, you know? Getting a Master Ball...
Fuck that.
It can't be wasting Pokeballs. Like, it kind of sucks because sometimes you'd have to attack, and then they die and you can't capture them.
Exactly. Oh,
like, their corpse is just there and you walk away.
It's just like...
Or, like, it scurries off somewhere all lifeless. I used to enjoy taking my Pokemon and putting them to Pokemon Stadium. I thought that transfer pack idea was so cool.
It was pretty cool, yeah.
But there's so many times I'm at Game Swappers and I'm overhearing the conversation that Will's having with the customer. He's like, oh, dude, hey, how much are those Rumble Packs? He's calling a transfer pack a Rumble Pack. And it sucks because these guys, I'm sorry to deviate, but the end of the segment's near anyway, but it's kind of weird to see kids that are like 18, 17 kind of want to be involved in the Nintendo 64. And I'm like, there's only a few games.
Right, like...
All the games that are really good for the Nintendo 64
or in one slot,
I can put in one drawer.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, oh, hey, dude, Mickey Speedway looks cool.
No!
Or,
get away from that.
Tonic Trouble. As entertaining as Tonic Trouble is, that game sucks. But Pokemon Stadium, that after the advent of Pokemon Go, that game shot up to like $25-$20.
Seriously?
When it was only a cheap game at the point.
I think that really brought Pokemon back to light. Because I do recall even seeing parents going, that's still going?
Stadium 2 is expensive too now. Well, still, it's been expensive, but it still rose with the price as well.
Well, I mean, a lot of people were surprised to find that, you know, Pokemon was still relevant in some kind of way. And then it just invited them to come back. I feel like it's cracked to people, dude. Like, I don't even... They're still doing the card game, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many different variations of the cards at this point. I don't know what the hell is going on. So many different generations, too. But
it's crazy.
At this rate, I mean, let's just acknowledge the fact that Pokemon's probably going to be here for another decade. And it's not going to slow down. It's going to keep going. And we're going to see it grow even further. If anything, Pokemon Go is going to take gaming... mobile gaming to a new level, and, you know, the Pokemon franchise itself to a new level. So, let's see what happens with it. Good luck with the release of the original film. Not really, you know, I don't think I'll be checking it out. What about you?
I won't either. The reason why is because I was just involved. I was with Pokemon during the fad, and to me now I'm really disassociated with Pokemon at this point. So if I want to watch Pokemon the first movie, I could watch it at home.
Right.
And
you can watch it right now.
You know, like the importance of watching it in the theater, no. the thing that really would irk me to do that is to pay money to see a movie I can watch whenever I want on demand at home. Mm-hmm. I'm just not really... Right. If it was a movie like, a movie I like, right. If they re-release Commando or re-release Predator on IMAX, I'm there.
One day they'll get desperate enough to do that.
Yeah.
For the reboot of whichever...
Or when Schwarzenegger dies. That sucks. I hate saying that, but knowing how old he is and stuff like that.
The time is ticking for a lot of our action heroes.
But not with animated movies. Like they can. That's the funny thing is like animated people, like The Simpsons can still go on,
right?
Technically, until the voice actor dies. Mm-hmm. But then again, they could just bust what they did with Chef,
exactly,
and have just cuts that can flow seamlessly well.
Or nowadays, man, we have so many perfect impersonators. It wouldn't even matter. Like you wouldn't even know that like the voice actress.
Who does that? It was Melissa Villaseñor that does that fucking Ash. Remember, it was her bit like a gay Ash Ketchum or like fucking put it in my ass Pikachu, like put it in my ass Pikachu, like fuck, that's so fucking gross. It's like Strokemon, that stupid Strokemon I showed you with fucking Pikachu. Anyway, I'm not going to be there to watch Pokemon the first movie. Would you as well, Andre?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go with that. It's still fun to talk about. I still like discussing it and everything because it's still semi-relevant to...
And it's snowballing still. I can't believe it's still gaining momentum. Yeah. So, it's really going to be like another type of Nintendo soon. Like its own universe that people are going to be so... Like, you're going to get lost in that shit.
Yeah.
It's too many generations.
Let's go with the final segment for tonight. And I know we had to expedite this show all of a sudden simply because I'm going to be going to Portland for Friday.
Yay!
So this is a tape delay surprise. This is a tape delay Mark and Andre show, but still, it's still going to be, there's still a lot of thought we put into this show as well.
He's going into Portlandia, guys. Like, that's fucking... One, that's my favorite show, and two, he's going to go to the Mecca, that's Portland.
Yeah.
Portland's a magical place. I hear it from everyone, and I'm pretty sure you got to take a picture, something.
I will. I just have to make sure to tread softly there. Mm-hmm. You know why. But but nonetheless, I'm going to have fun. The Portland Retro Game Expo is the retro video game Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna be there just
handing out cards,
wheeling and dealing, trying to put a wrestling shirt on. I don't know, because Will's going to make me wear a Game Swapper shirt, which is not really bad.
Just have your wrestling...
I'm going to have the Ultimate Warrior lapels and stuff.
Smart. There we go.
But first and foremost, before we get into the last segment, let's take a quick commercial break here on the Mark and Andre Show. Hello, this is Mark Flores from the Mark F Podcast channel, here to let you know that this podcast episode is brought to you by Game Swappers. Come on down to Game Swappers, located at 4520 Holt Boulevard in Montclair, California, to buy, sell, and trade your current and retro video games from Nintendo Entertainment System to the PS4. Keep in mind that if you share any one of my podcast episodes through any form of social media, you'll get 10% off your entire purchase, or you'll get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. Follow Game Swappers on Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers. Buy, sell, and trade.
And we're back!
Here on the Mark and Andre Show, the only film, entertainment, and conspiracy theory podcast on Spreaker.com. We do appreciate everyone that tunes in, and we also would like to say this. If you guys enjoy the content, if you guys get a chuckle, if you guys think whatever we say is interesting, and you think someone else might want to know about the show, please feel free to like, share, subscribe to the show. Let me know that you're listening to the Mark and Andre podcast show. There's big things planned for the Mark and Andre podcast show as a whole. I'm going to see if I can take this podcast show to the next level with more enhanced equipment, alongside with us probably doing Let's Plays. That's going to have to come at a certain time, but there's a lot of things planned for this podcast, and I like making it as informative, as entertaining as possible. So feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And there's also that promotional offer with Game Swappers that you can get 10% off if you do share. or 10% more towards your trade-ins if you do decide to trade in retro games. So it's a win-win for both of us. A win-win for you via discounts, or just letting people know that you watch the show. Or it'd be a win. It's a win-win for me in the sense that people share the show and there's a lot more. There's a lot more viewership.
Ear viewership.
Yeah.
Listenership.
Oh yeah, exactly. Listenship. Oh, great. Let me put the sound off on that one. Dang, I haven't heard that Mike Tyson ringtone in a long time. Anyway, let's go into the last segment for tonight, and we'll start off with this. Andre, what was one type of commercial that you feel was a lot more prevalent than the auto insurance commercials that we used to see on public programming?
It's more prevalent than those?
Yeah. What was like a good second place?
What about you? Because I can't,
the anti-drug commercials.
The Dare commercials,
ton of them. There's so many that I remember, off of the cuff, like we've mentioned before in previous podcasts, but these were so impactful because we've seen them so many times.
Right.
We've seen the old lady with the hole in her throat.
Right.
We've seen the chick redo that, this is your brain on drugs, PSA. We've seen a lot.
That one was ridiculous.
And
sorry, that PSA was so dumb.
A few things to mention is that truth.org doesn't have any more. They rarely re-release any new ones. They barely do the ones where the guy's trying to pay with money, and then he's like, "You're gonna have to give something more up."
Right.
And he has to pull his fucking tooth out.
Right, or take a bit of the skin off or something.
That's a little on the graphic end. I mean, you could put that point across, but pulling your fucking ear and shit. I thought that was kind of, you know what? It worked because it's really graphic, and that's only a small smidgen of what tobacco does to you, or smoking cigarettes do to you on the inside.
Well, just to hop back to the original question you
exactly
asked, I guess when it came down to the original anti-drug commercials, they were cheesy. They were really bad.
Yes.
And it just made you want to do drugs more.
Why are you smoking drugs, son? Why are you smoking cigarettes, son? Well, I did it because I was watching you. That one, the one where the guy's all railing on his son, but then he's all like, who taught you this shit anyway?
You did, father. And then all of this, we have to, this moment of concentration on the father and all that dumb shit. Those moments where it's you influence what happens to your kids that smoke or whatever, right? And even those were cheesy. Or the one with the dog talking.
McGruff?
No, not McGruff. But there's a commercial where a girl comes home and
the Cookie Crisp guys. Yeah, Cookie Crisp. Cookie Crisp is a terrible drug, dude. Those fucking Cookie Crisp dogs.
Woo, they couldn't get enough of it,
dude. Or even the Cocoa Puffs. Fucking.
Okay, now you're just talking about drug cereals, which are all of them.
Follow your nose. God damn, what cocoa are you on? Follow your nose for cocoa. I'm Cocoa. Dude, that little bird was fucking on something other than sugary cereal.
And he was constantly in a straitjacket, too. I didn't want him around my cereal at all.
That's a crazy-ass fucking bird.
There was a commercial where the chick shows up at home, and she's high, and her dog's like, I really liked it when you didn't smoke weed. The dog spoke to her. And then that was the end of the commercial.
How am I supposed to smoke weed when... How am I supposed to talk to you if I don't smoke? Fucking Fido. Why
are you coming with morality issues as a dog? How do you even know?
Brian from Family Guy made his cameo in real life.
But as the years went on, anti-drug, anti-cigarette video commercials, like you mentioned, did get more graphic. They tried to go for shock factor. They wanted to have you rattled by the end of the commercial. You know, there was a commercial I recall where it was I hate getting out of my bed. Or no, there we go. I smoke a cigarette to get out of bed. And then the next cut is some guy I can't get out of bed because he's dying.
Yeah.
Or it's I just want to go outside and have a cigarette. And then the next cut is somebody saying, I can't even go outside because of cigarettes. Everything that a person would come up with as an excuse. They had somebody in a hospital bed or I'm so alive. And the next cut is just a flat line. Is somebody, being wrapped up in a white sheet.
Getting bodied.
Zipped up, the Ziploc, Ziploc. The zip's going up or whatever. Ziploc bodies.
He's dead. Put him in the big ass Ziploc.
big clear bag for everyone to see. No, but they definitely went for that like eerie shock factor. But Truth kind of went as far as they could with it.
So the question I pose to the audience is: you may believe that the anti-drug campaign was brought on by people that do not like cigarettes.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, let's even go into cigarette advertisements themselves. Cigarette advertisement was everywhere. Comics, Sports Illustrated. There's even a Mad Magazine. Mad Magazine had Marlboro commercial. Like, you're not able to advertise into comics, into actual. You can't advertise cigarette. You can't put cigarette advertisements in books anymore.
Right.
And even with cigarette commercials, they haven't had cigarette commercials in a long, long time.
Well, I mean, they don't need them anymore.
Exactly. They stopped for a long time. Remember when you would go to a restaurant, the waitress would ask your parents, smoking or non-smoking.
Right. Now,
airlines, they don't have smoking anymore, but I remember
they
watching.
Used to have the ashtrays.
You had the ashtrays that are welded shut now. And the last time I've actually seen someone actually use a cigarette on a plane is when it was on the Twilight Zone, when William Shatner had terror at 20,000 feet.
Yeah.
He was smoking a cigarette.
Right.
The United States has came a long way from actually having advertisements in cigarettes. So you could tell the influence that Big Tobacco had on U.S. government to allow this. But back to where I'm going in the original point is that you would imagine that people that were anti-cigarettes were pushing these anti-drug commercials, the truth.com commercials, where they would have a lot of people just die in the middle of the street, like tobacco kills 1,200 people a day. It was actually brought on. Truth.com was actually brought on by Big Tobacco.
It's Big Tobacco's money that's funding Truth.
Truth.com.
Truth.com. But not primarily Truth.com. It's actually all anti-cigarette campaigns. It's just the Truth was the most popular, so they pretty much stuck with the Truth. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Ironically, they stuck with the Truth. So when it came down to it, it was actually a law that was passed in favor of anti-cigarettes, but it was basically designed to be funded by Big Tobacco.
Yeah, so it's Big Tobacco paying money to advertise anti-smoking campaigns.
Right. In essence, to do this, because by law, they're pretty much saying, well, you have a responsibility as a company that pretty much kills their customers to do anti-campaigns against your own product. The clause in the contract states that
the settlement.
The settlement. Okay. Yeah, it's a settlement. So the anti-cigarette group cannot exclusively target a cigarette company, but they can just say Big Tobacco or tobacco companies, or we're at a tobacco corporation right now. Yeah. But they can't show the name and they can't do anything of that nature. Even those big cigarettes. Big cigarettes.
Big cigarettes.
Big as your head.
Jumbo.
The jumbo cigarette. Hand rolled to perfection.
Smoking for 5 hours.
Warning, may cause death instantly. But
isn't it? From the people that brought you the cigar.
And death.
And death, the XL cigar. These are the ones you could puff in.
Two hands required. So when it comes down to what they do in the Truth commercials, Big Tobacco doesn't exactly tell them what to do.
Yeah.
But they fund them. They go, oh, go ahead. Here's, whatever. It's like they're not even paying attention to where the money goes. It's almost like child support in a weird way. Like
the settlement to do these Truth.org commercial campaigns was a settlement in the amount of $206 billion.
Yep.
That is
billion.
That is a lot of money. They are probably still using that money today, because to just do commercials with that, I don't. The production of those Truth.com commercials, you're not really. It's not like Michael Bay's directing this shit. I mean, it's really general, to cut to the point.
Right. It doesn't cost much fucking money to gather a group of people and have them put mannequins in the street.
I remember these commercials going crazy on MTV.
Mm-hmm.
Like MTV had these commercials on loop.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the baby commercial where they had a bunch of babies in the middle of a New York, city block.
Mm-hmm.
They had the one, like I mentioned earlier, they marched 1,200 people through New York and had people collapse. And they actually looked like they closed the street because there was no people walking.
New York was empty. They walked across the bridge and not a single person was there or a car?
Yeah.
Okay. But, a lot of that stuff looks fishy because, when you look at it, you think to yourself, well, if this is downtown in New York, Big Tobacco obviously knew they were coming because they blocked off like a whole block,
exactly.
just for that one little scene they used. And then when you look at the truthers, we'll call them, they're the heads that have speaking roles for the commercials are actually popular actors now.
Oh yeah,
they've actually had very popular acting roles, which makes you think to yourself, well, how much of this was even honest?
Yeah.
If this is
this is supposed to be like a rebellious guy who's trying to go this campaign.
Yeah, this is somebody that's supposed to be risking their lives or their expression just to tell, a company that already knows what the fuck is going on. Like they're going to come out of the cigarette corporation. I quit. I can't believe this. 12,000 people a day?
We hired you to do these commercials. Get the hell out.
Right. Oh, yeah, the one commercial when the chick walks into the building and she's like, can I talk to the head of marketing? And then the head of marketing just comes downstairs.
It's like, we're here to do the commercial. You ready?
Yeah. Well, it says, can we use a lie detector on you to say, because you say that cigarettes don't kill. And the dude's like, get out, you whore. And it's like, so it felt staged.
Yeah.
But apparently I think they actually did end up breaking, they broke contract for that commercial.
Oh, wow.
Because they actually went to a specific company and then they got a specific marketer, even though they didn't show any faces or anything like that. But, go ahead.
Oh, well, I want to add to what you're saying. So it takes once you know who is actually funding the anti-smoking campaign, it kind of takes the validity out of the whole grassroots type of vibe that you get from truth.com.
Right.
And so now all these commercials, now you see that
something's tainted here.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem
like a hippie movement.
Yeah, it's like me saying that I don't support, a presidential candidate, but yet
I'm funded by the presidential candidate.
Or I'm funding said presidential candidate.
Well, here's the thing. How let's think from a truther's perspective. I am actually I'm very serious about anti-cigarettes, and I want to push this and spread this message however I can. But we have shitty funding, and then you find out you just got a $100 billion donation to your company. Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair number, even though we know the real number. We got $100 billion donation to your company. Mm-hmm. Holy shit! And then you find out, well, who sent this? How did I even get this? Well, you're a part of a settlement. With Big Tobacco. They're funding it. You have a moral choice at this point.
Exactly.
Shit. That's kind of really ironic.
But the money. No,
and that's where I'm like, come on. You don't think someone at the top of truth.com didn't look at this 200, well, because they spread it amongst different groups, but I'm going to use 100 billion just to think that something close to what they got. My company went from like an average, possibly like, basic income, average business income, and I was managing to do very local actions and stood out that way, like going through Times Square and just doing like little performances throughout the day for truth. And then I get this big ass breakthrough settlement. Mm-hmm. You don't think he's pinching $1 million or something?
Yeah, like putting a couple, but bearing a cool 100,000.
Well, here's the thing. Now here's where I'm about to get conspiratorial. This is where we're about to die.
Yeah.
So let's say, this dude, his initial, because I want to say truth.com was actually created by Big Tobacco too, but I don't have that information confirmed just yet, so I won't say that. Mm-hmm. So we're just we're gonna do the story like this. I already had a small little company, and then I got this crazy settlement from Big Tobacco.
Yes.
Greed takes over. Let's say that their initial message was pure.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of hippies trying to get this thing to work and, finding these unique ways to get the message out there.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, because they still exist. Mm-hmm. 10 years later, I still have all this money. And I'm not seeing any statistics change. You don't think that they're taking money for themselves? You don't think at one point this dude or female took like 100 million out of that? Yeah. Out of the 100 billion,
all you have to do is cook the books,
right? Like,
that's
you don't think that he manipulated the money in some kind of way and just kind of like said "fuck it" and passed it to somebody else?
Yeah,
And let's say the influence of the person at the top. I mean, they have the strongest influence on their own company. So what if Big Tobacco just hits them up? Hey, how you liking that 100 billion?
Yeah.
I'm loving it. All right, so how about we stop coming to our locations? You guys shouldn't do that anymore.
Just do regular commercials.
Just do regular commercials and just go out into the city and mess with those people and do your truth commercials. Go on YouTube, I don't care, but stop coming to the buildings. Because all of a sudden, they're not at the buildings anymore. Yeah. They don't even do those building protests.
It's not even as invasive as I saw it before.
Right. And
it is more just commercials.
Right. It is. It's just a don't smoke cigarette commercial. It's the Surgeon General warning in a commercial now.
Yeah.
The Surgeon General warning doesn't even matter.
That thing's on packs of cigarette and people disregard it.
Now, here is the... Yeah, they look dead at it. Oh, I could die from this? I didn't know. In this case, this is an example of what is known as, simple phrase, subliminal advertising. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when you watch the original, like let's say an early 2000, late 90s commercial, it'll be Pringles. And they'll have a bag that looks like Lay's. Mm-hmm. And then they'll open the bag and have them struggle with these chips for some reason. Like you can't eat them, they're too greasy or whatever. Yeah. They never said Lay's, but they look like Lay's. The bag represents Lay's. You just got 2 advertisements in one video. Or one commercial. Mm-hmm. So you got the Pringles commercial and you got the Lay's commercial. That's a subliminal advertisement. They basically, the whole commercial itself is to get you to buy chips.
And you have to pay for the likeness of your competitor if you use it to a very convincing degree.
Right. But at this rate, modern marketing, it's just like, we're Pringles and we're better than Lay's. You just got 2 straight up commercials.
The Coke versus Pepsi was a joint campaign.
That's a conscious dual commercial for you.
Yeah.
The ones where they have the fake can is subliminal. So in this case...
and to go on that, because the opinion of, when you think of dual advertisement, the opinion of what tastes better is always going to be on an individual basis. Right. And it's not going to bring you a general consensus because despite what the general consensus says about Coke versus Pepsi, people are still going to either drink Coke or Pepsi.
Right, period.
And that is just the perfect marketing on both ends for PepsiCo and Coca-Cola.
Because people actually started buying them and did the challenge.
And the same... yeah, exactly. And in the same respect to... anti-tobacco commercials and tobacco commercials. Well, not tobacco commercials, but just the whole long line of people smoking cigarettes.
Right. So when it comes to these commercials, like you were bringing up, me telling you not to smoke just reminded you of smoking. Period. Now you're going to smoke. It works.
It's like, don't think of elephants.
And first thing that pops into your head, right? So when it comes down to... Because, well, here's another little subliminal trick, right? So for a food commercial, you're not going to complete your purchase until you see the person eat the food and have satisfaction. That's why a person drinks a soda and has that refreshing, like they've just been hit with this epiphany of life or something. So why in cigarette commercials do we have people actually physically smoking? They, like the original truth commercials that have people laying out in the streets, dying or whatever whatever little baby things. Now, these truth commercials involve a person taking a cigarette to the mouth and releasing a puff.
And it's a lot of teenagers, too. The new commercial that shows a teenager at prom stepping outside to smoke a cigarette.
Right.
But keep in mind, due to the new cigarette laws in California,
right,
you have to be 21 to buy tobacco products and smoke cigarettes.
Exactly.
And now... that it's still like those are still being played in California now,
and people will see them.
That is the impression it's very impressionable. That is,
and it's subtle. That's how the subliminal advertising works. And when it comes down to just seeing the action taking place, right? Like watch a beer commercial. Someone's going to drink the beer. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get a commercial without them drinking the fucking beer. Maybe even I was going to say Colt 45. Even in the Colt 45 commercials, I think he drank the beer.
No, actually. Yeah, that's the only rub of beer commercials. Is you can show it being poured in America only.
Oh.
Like the Van Damme Coors Light commercials, he drank it.
Right.
In Europe and many other countries, you could show people drinking the beer, but in in America, United States, excuse me, you can't drink it.
That's why the commercials,
The Heineken commercial.
but the commercials that we have out here, they do a first person perspective and have the liquid come towards your face.
Yeah.
As if you're drinking the beer.
Exactly.
That's so dumb. Like, that's a dumb law. It doesn't matter because they're going to have another method. But when it comes down to it, they show the action taking place.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. I mean, do you know smokers personally? Do you know when they have an urge? That's a wrap.
Oh, yeah.
At my old job, I had a friend. If anything slightly stressed her out, just slightly, somebody just said something too loud, she'd go, "Oh God, I'm just gonna go get a cigarette," and then she leaves and smokes a cigarette. Yeah, that fast and that easy.
In the job that I had previously, for a long time, I've met people that just smoke on the roof. Mm-hmm. I had people that just smoked on the way to work, smoked before they got started. Mm-hmm. Like there was one of my good friends who still smokes. Just probably about 3 or 4 cigarettes in the matter of being on the job site.
That's crazy.
It's bad, man. It was bad for a long time. Like I would get headaches because I would have to drive with them in the car. I would take my own car because I didn't want to be in the same car because they would smoke.
Right.
And now it's illegal I think they actually officially passed a law where you can't. A mom or a father can't smoke with their kids in the car.
That's actually really good.
That's
very good.
It's been long overdue.
Very long overdue. And the influence of cigarettes. I mean, just in general, guys, let's think about it. Big tobacco is important to the economy. Like we need them to keep business going. That's why we are at a point where we don't need advertisements for cigarettes.
Yeah.
Why? They're actually... Okay, the budget for marketing, right?
Yeah.
They cut back huge. Okay, the only time recently we went to Utah, and then I was in New York a while back. The only place you'll see cigarette, banners on buses.
Yeah.
Or maybe a bench, but that's as far as it goes. You don't need a commercial anymore. Yeah. You don't need it. It's like... I mean, we're at a point, everyone knows what a cigarette is.
Yes.
Kids know what cigarettes are. Like, come on now. So when it comes down to that, the marketing budget doesn't get touched because they're already paying for it with Truth commercials. But the weird part about Truth commercials is that they're lagging. Like, I haven't seen anything from them in the past year.
The people the same advertising campaigns that are supposed to be anti-smoking have to show a cigarette.
Right.
They have to, they show people smoking cigarettes.
They show them smoking.
Like, that's like showing, like, an anti-drinking campaign where people just, that's what they even do.
I can't stop drinking as he drinks.
Exactly. Or, like, you remember the guy that's full of beer in the car, full of wine?
Oh, yeah. And it drips out of the car.
That still stimulates drunk driving. That still stimulates people drinking excessively.
It's just a reminder. That's all it is.
Exactly. It's just the seeds being planted.
It's as simple as the old subliminals where they would say smoke. It's the same concept. It's like when you see it in a commercial, even though it's saying don't do it, it's blatantly telling you to do it. So I could see the effects of how Truth was effective. And once again, we're telling you guys, this isn't just Truth. This is every single anti-cigarette group.
Yeah.
Period. They're all funded by Big Tobacco. Even though it initially was reluctant, like they didn't want to do it, but this was based on the law, and they were sued, they had to do it. This time around, I feel like, just like a good businessman would, because this initially started in 1998. That's when they did the whole $200 billion settlement. So over time, a great business knows how to manipulate what they have to make it work in their favor.
Exactly.
Big Tobacco doesn't care anymore. You guys Truth is helping them.
Yes.
Period. Because every time I see an anti-smoking commercial, I already know not to smoke.
Yeah.
I got it. This isn't teaching me anything new. People die from cigarettes. People get lung cancer from cigarettes. People get all kinds of horrible shit from cigarettes.
Yes.
Cigarettes are full of poisons and all this. Everyone knows what's going on. I told my grandmother, because she was smoking cigarettes, like, Granny, stop. She's like, I'm old. I'm going to die anyway. And she just keeps smoking. It doesn't matter. How many times have you heard that? Like, dude, why do you smoke? Doesn't matter.
They have no answer.
Who gives a fuck? That's how they are. They're smoking a cigarette for a reason, So when it came down to it, it's just like, just based on how hard tobacco pushes cigarettes on people in different unique ways. I was bring up the experiment. So in college, I decided I'm going to try to smoke cigarettes for like a month and see what happens, which is a dumb experiment, but I was young and I can do that. Why not?
Yeah.
We live short lives. You might as well try some things. I wouldn't use the same logic with like cocaine or anything.
So I tried cocaine for 30 days.
I tried meth the other day.
And then I extended it to 60, and now I'm still on it.
I can quit whenever I want.
But I can quit whenever I want.
I'm still in the experimental phase.
Mark, are you paying me for the show? Fucking pay me.
You see me scratching. So I tried it out, man. And I'll just be honest. My initial report was nothing. Like, I wasn't addicted to cigarettes. When I stopped, I was done.
How many did you do a day on average, if you don't mind me asking?
You know, I made sure it was at least one a day.
Okay.
At least one, you know. Sometimes I go for two. And with menthols, it's not too horrible. It's actually soothing. It's cool. Goes down your throat. Smooth. No homo?
No.
The look on your face, I was like...
I'm more surprised at the fact that it actually was menthols.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past you. Menthol cigarettes.
Hey, I was like, what do all the cool kids smoke?
Remember on Chappelle's show, the segment, I Know Black People?
Yes.
He was all like, why do brothers smoke menthols? We just do. That is correct. It's like, we just do.
Honestly, that's the same reason. I was just like, menthols.
There's this one time,
I know about menthols.
There's this one time I was at a job site, and I had my friend Brandon and my friend Dusty. Mm-hmm. They were working on the job site with me, and on the dash of one of their cars, I think, mm-hmm. or on the dash of the work truck where we unload all our wallets and stuff, and there was a pack of Newports, and I thought when my friend Brandon told me to grab his cigarettes, mm-hmm. I went for the Newports. It's like, what the fuck? These aren't my fucking cigarettes. These are Dusty's cigarettes. Why don't you think these are my cigarettes?
Like, how would you know?
Yeah, and I was like, I took a guess, Brandon.
Right.
And little didn't know, like, I guess they weren't his cigarettes. They were actually Dusty's. And I was all like,
preference?
G, are these your cigarettes? These your menthols right here? Like, man, fuck you. It was funny and embarrassing for me, but it was just hilarious. So
I was basically fulfilling a stereotype, purchasing menthols. But unfortunately, I was like, this is what black people smoke, so let me see what happens.
So 30 days go by.
30 days go by, and I could understand. Like, I could see why a person would smoke a cigarette. I can see it. I don't have the same response, though.
Yeah.
It's soothing, but it's so temporary, it's meaningless. It's like, oh, I'm stressing out. And then a cigarette. And then you get like a minute or two of peace.
Yeah, the release of endorphins over time becomes less and less. So you need to smoke more and more.
Exactly.
You know?
But then that's what's weird too. I never got to a point where I needed to double up or get smoke more in a day. And I thought a month would be a perfect amount of time to have a reaction of some kind.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, I was finished. And I think I had one day where I was like, I could use a cigarette. And then after that, nothing. Completely gone.
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, I was sick of them. Like, I never would want one again. Period. I think
I've never had the appeal of it.
Yeah, it's not me. It didn't, I think the last time I smoked a cigarette was when we, it's for a social trick, like when we used to do the Inception. Right?
Oh, yeah.
If you take a person's cigarette, they're willing to talk to you or whatever. That was the first and last time I did that in a long time. So they don't do anything for me. They don't. Yeah. I don't get it. I would love any cigarette smoker out there to talk to me and let me know.
Yeah, try to get him involved back in it.
Right. Why are you smoking and what does it do? Yeah. Because it's so temporary. It doesn't even mean anything. Like, as soon as the cigarette's done, it's over.
So you could say it's safe to assume that these anti-smoking commercials from back then actually helped out into persuading people to smoke cigarettes.
Because there is this weird curiosity that takes place. I think I smoked cigarettes based on truth.
Yeah.
Based on the truth.com, I'm wondering, well, what is the impact that it's this crazy? And then fucked around and actually did an experiment that could have potentially turned me into a new smoker. So I'll never do that experiment again. But at the same time, I was just curious. I wanted to learn about it. And my initial, I came through and it was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what people, like, you need this, dude. And there you go. So when it comes down to cigarettes, man, and big tobacco, it's one of those things where it's never going to stop.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine big tobacco, like, having some law that has them shut down?
They will never shut down cigarettes.
They will never shut down cigarettes.
It was the tobacco farms in the southern states were a big catalyst to keep slavery going. Mm-hmm. That was it. If you think the main reason why people like the Southerners weren't, I don't know whether they were racist or not, but they needed work done. Right. They needed the tobacco farms to keep going. Mm-hmm. It's a mainstay. Tobacco is a mainstay in production, and it's never going to go away. It's like one of those. It's like American as apple pie in a sense because it started when we colonized the North America, when we colonized what is now known as the United States. From then it's just one of those staples that won't ever go away.
I can't even imagine a world without cigarettes. Yeah. And I don't judge a person that smokes a cigarette. Yeah. But I do judge them when they get sick and they keep smoking.
Oh man, the only time I get really kind of upset is when people are smoking in a non-smoking section. There's people smoking where they shouldn't. Like I'm glad that you can't smoke in stores, you can't smoke anywhere. In Vegas, they pump so much air that you barely smell. You barely smell someone smoke. So that's good.
It literally goes into vents. Like you could just watch it float up and disappear.
I remember going to New Mexico before they actually approved of you can't smoke here. Like before the indoor places you couldn't smoke. When I went, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, why is there still ashtrays here? Wait, you guys gonna smoke cigarettes here? Oh man, they're smoking cigarettes here.
What are you doing? Put that down. Yeah, you're all putting out their cigarettes. Like, what are you doing, dog?
Dude, I'm just glad California got on with it quick because, it could have influenced a lot of people. It just saved a lot. It just saved a lot of people from certain ends. You know what I mean? But I'm just glad that it stopped there because there, like I told you earlier. There was a point in time where smoking was just as talkable. It wasn't taboo.
Right. It was just a part of society. Yeah. Obviously, I'm in this grocery store with my cigarette because I need groceries.
Movies in the 60s, I can't. The main character would smoke cigarettes. Right. Doctors would say, "Oh, smoking tobacco isn't bad." I'm a doctor. I smoke them. Smoker's choice. Doctors choose Winston for smokers, like for smokes. Like, what the fuck? Like, can you imagine seeing that now? Like, being here and then watching an advertisement back in the 50s, like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Kyle."
And there's a cigarette in his mouth.
And when I smoke cigarettes, I choose Winston's. The smoker's choice. And the doctor's choice.
Works every time.
I know, exactly. So, it's good to know that actual, the truth behind truth.com.
The truth behind truth.
And to see that anti-smoking campaigns aren't really helping as much. They're hurting more than they're helping. Because we still have smokers. We have new e-cigarettes it makes people believe that having nicotine in its purest vaporized form is as good as smoking when it's just as toxic. I remember they were able to vape too, like indoors. And there's certain places now you can't even vape
because it got obnoxious.
It got stupid.
Like
what the fuck is the artificial clouds doing in a bar?
But it's like the problem with the vapors is that they have the hugest clouds. It's like yeah, and the whole entire room is consumed with smoke or whatever,
like whatever fruity flavor they have,
and it smells great. I hate how great it smells.
It does smell good, and I hate the stupid flavors that they have. I'm like, okay, yeah, dude, this Cinnamon Toast Crunch vape is awesome.
Blueberry Sunrise pancakes, dude.
Blueberry Sunrise pancakes.
Who the hell? Like
Solar Eclipse, dude. the fruit flavor of a Solar Eclipse. I love like all these dumb fucking flavors.
Oh, it's the Knott's Berry Farm line, dude. It's so good.
Multivitamin.
The Flintstone vitamin.
Flintstone vitamin.
It's the Flintstone vitamin, bro.
So it's good that we actually know that here on the Mark and Andre show, and that was the last segment for tonight. Andre, I want to...
That's the end of it.
Yeah. I want to let you guys know is that, despite Big Tobacco claiming to not have cigarette advertisements, the anti-smoking advertisements are them themselves.
And there's nothing wrong with it, guys. It's business. Just, you know who you are, and you know what cigarettes can do.
Exactly.
We are in the internet age. You can type in the effects of cigarettes and know. So
for a PSA, I would say don't smoke cigarettes.
Don't smoke cigarettes if it makes you feel bad.
Exactly.
I can't tell a person how to live their life, but I did it for a month. It wasn't that great. Didn't do much. So, stick to beer.
Exactly.
Stick to other intoxicants.
I know.
This is a great PSA. No,
don't smoke. Drink a beer. Shoot up.
15-year-olds listening, just opening up beer.
Andre told me to drink a beer. I feel funny. Fucking little. Wait, why do 15-year-olds sound like that?
Yeah, why is he that useful?
Gee, mister, thank you. This beer was swell. I'm gonna go drive my moped now. All right, guys, that's enough here for the Mark and Andre podcast. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I would like to leave the floor for Andre for his shameless promotion.
The floor for the
metaphor
for four floors. Yeah, I'll keep it short. Check me out at youtube.com/Andre Gainer. That's youtube.com/ANDREGAINER. And essentially, it's a channel called Lyricology 101, where I show those that are interested in hip-hop how to rap, or how to write for rap, how to write advanced poetry. I have a show where I focus specifically on a song, where I break it down to its bare essentials, its rhyme schemes, its narrative, its concept, what they were thinking of when they wrote the line, etc., etc. So if you guys are interested, you don't have to be a rapper. Maybe you just want to learn more about rap and why do people love it so fucking much. And what I do is give you the intellectual spiel. I show you what it's like on the opposite end of on the writer's side of the equation. So if you guys are interested, check it out. And if you like what you see, leave a comment and tell me you're from the show. I will love on you and welcome you to the Lyricology 101 universe. So thank you guys so much for listening. We love all of you. We respect you all individually on a very personal and intimate level. You all deserve high fives and hugs, and we will see you in the following week. Bye. Wait, where's the is this it?
Yeah, press pause.
Okay.